If you've been on TikTok for a while, you must have heard about a ton of Africans telling you that Europeans stole Africa's resources.
Are you planning to dispute this fact?
Now, there's a lot to say about that. First and foremost, most of these resources are still in Africa.
Of course, they're still in Africa. Africa is blessed with a lot of resources that are inexhaustible. No matter how much you steal, they just keep replenishing themselves.
And they're not being stolen by Europeans. They're actually being sold to Europeans by the African state leadership.
Interesting. They are not being stolen by Europeans, but being sold to Europeans for peanuts. You didn't put that end part for peanuts because we all know how you put African leaders in place, get them to sell those resources for cheap. And when they don't dance to your tune, what do? You buy them, put them on a plane that is bound to crash. We know how you do this. So many African leaders that didn't dance to your tune. We all saw what became of them. So what are you saying, Mr. Professor?
Your own elites are robbing you. It's not us doing it. Not anymore.
I'm glad you said that phrase, not anymore. When you say not anymore, are you sure? But reports reaching me says Europeans are still very much active in Africa. Neocolonialism through companies and through shady deals. Have you changed?
The real issue, of course, is why aren't Africans using their own resources to do things? Why does Mr. Beast have to go to Kenya to build water wells? Why didn't the Kenyan government do it themselves?
There is an agenda to maintain the poverty status quo in Africa. You see, a country that is developed, civilized, have all its infrastructures in place, soon or later we start to ask questions. The more questions asked, the more fair, free trade dealings will be done with the West, which the West don't want. The more poor a country is, the poorer the consciousness. And the easier it is for you to come and steal their resources, you see, my friend.
I suppose the Kenyan government could have done it themselves. They just chose not to do it.
About Mr. Beast building well in Africa. Ever heard about YouTube engagement and YouTube algorithm? These are YouTubers. They've had to be taken seriously because there's something called monetization. The more views you get, the more monetization you get on your channel. So let me say, if Mr. Beast spent like $20,000 on that video, he's likely gonna make about $1 million from the video, you see, my friend. So actually, Mr. Beast owes the Kenya people some revenue from that video if it's actually charity. But you won't talk about that because you are so deep engraved in the exploitation of Africa and you are not planning to change anytime soon.
Nigeria is now a country of almost 220 million people.
Stop before you say anything. I must warn you, my friend. The Nigerians are not to be joked with. They will come for you. They will come for you.
The largest country in Africa, but they only produce about 10% of the electricity that a small country like Hungary. Hungary only has 10 million people, but they produce 10 times as much electricity as Nigeria does.
Now you've crossed that line. Hungary is a very tiny country, like you said, but Hungary generates its electricity through nuclear power plant. A lot of African countries are not allowed to do any innovation with nuclear, except for you guys, you Europeans. Because when it comes to nuclear, you only want to be those in possession of nuclear power. So Africa can literally use its uranium to generate electricity that will supply the whole of Africa, but you are not allowing us to tap into this nuclear power because you don't trust us, you know? You don't trust us because you're scared that, oh, we've enslaved these guys. We've stolen their resources. When we give them nuclear power, what would they do? They might nuke us.
I mean, I know you want to have your Wakanda, right? But do you expect white people to give it to you? No, you're supposed to build it yourself.
Yes, we are trying to build it ourselves, but Mr. White Man is still on our land, stealing our resources. I don't know how to react to that one. Of course, we are trying to build it ourselves, but there is constant sabotage from you guys, the West. Mr. Sabotager, can you please just gather your people, have a community meeting? And just say, okay, today we're going to stay out of Africa. Just one day of the month. Say, okay, from now on, every Monday of the month, or colonialists will pause their activity in Africa and see how fast Africa develops, my friend.
Having said all this, it is of course obvious that we Europeans in the North need to prepare for a possible, potential African rise in terms of technology and therefore also in terms of military capacity. And that means we in Europe need to already start looking ahead and thinking ahead about how we are going to win the war against Africa, because there will be a future war between Europe and Africa.
Now you scared me on that one. I thought we were having a civilized conversation, yeah. So basically what you're saying is those countries in Northern Europe should come together and prepare for a military intervention in Africa just because you can perceive that Africa is seeing through your manipulation and your lies. Mr. Heisenberg here is trying to worry me. You are telling your comrades to prepare for a future whatever with Africa? Are you that scared of us? Just stay out of Africa, Mr. Heisenberg. And if you want to go through that route, BRICS, baby.